China has become actually a dangerous rival. Tell me how you came to that conclusion.
Now, there are two steps to this. One that gets everybody's attention, which is we made a deal with China to let them in the WTO, and the deal was there was going to be more imports from China, which we all knew, and then eventually there'd be more exports from the United States. That really hasn't happened on the export from the United States side to the extent that it should, because, as your report just mentioned, the Chinese steal American intellectual property and then turn their companies into competitors for American firms. And when they don't do that, they heavily subsidize their own production, so there's no market access for American firms. So step one was we made a WTO deal, and after some years, it turned out it was a bad deal. Didn't know that at the time. We know that now. Step two, this government under Xi Jinping is considerably more aggressive than the previous government.
Right.
So in 2012, he takes over. They're a worse dictatorship. They're more aggressive internationally. Xi Jinping is very much committed to state control. So China in step two became a worse partner than it was after the WTO entry decision.
Okay, take a listen then to the president's economic advisor, Larry Kudlow, in talking about the negotiations with China, and I want to get your take on that. Listen.
We're making progress in negotiating on the grandest scale between the two countries ever. Okay? We're covering everything. Technology, theft, IP, forced transfers, family jewels, cyber intervention, commodities, industrial supplies, financial services, ownership. Nothing like this has ever been undertaken. This is good. Negotiations are good.
One of the things you talk about is just possible super.
I was kind of waiting for the but.
Chinese will agree to do. And we're getting to a point though where the Chinese economy is so big that because their economic growth is going down, it could affect our economic growth here at home. So how do you decouple those two things?
Very important here. Decoupalization.
Chinese economy. Their bad economic choices, of which they've made many, affect American companies, affect our stock market. Eventually, they haven't yet, but eventually could affect American workers. I don't think the solution to that is to tie ourselves more to the Chinese economy. I think our solution to that is to tie ourselves less. With regard to what Mr. Kudlow said about the negotiations, I think the president would agree with what I'm about to say. Our previous negotiations with China have all been failures. Making this bigger doesn't make it any better. It just makes it a bigger failure. You have to trust your partner to do what they say they're going to do. And I don't think it's reasonable, given their track record, to trust the Chinese to implement what they say they're going to do in this deal.
But we didn't have a chance to talk about it, but I think that if I could just get one quick word from you, just about the human rights violations of China and how much a part of that should be under consideration when we go to the table with them.
Well, I think that's a sign that this government is worse than the previous government, that the situation with China has deteriorated, and our trade policy and our other policies haven't changed. The Chinese call them re-education camps. That sounds bad enough for me. There are hundreds of thousands of people in them. That's the government you're making a deal with. I find that extremely questionable, and I hope the president eventually does as well.
All right, Derek Scissors, thanks for coming on the show.
So, Korea, Japan, us,
From a New York City courtroom,
Vietnam, Australia, a relatively pretty strong group there. I don't think Russia comes back in and does a whole lot with China. Just a thought.